Welcome to the Entrepreneurial CEO Podcast, where we dive into the real stories behind building and scaling a business. Each episode, we sit down with CEOs, founders, and leaders to uncover hard-won lessons in leadership, systems, and team building. Listen in each week to learn directly from real business leaders who have been in your shoes, had success, made the mistakes, and all of the messiness that comes with building a business. If you're ready to learn from real-world leaders and gain insights you can apply today, you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Billy, thanks for being here, man.
Great to be here. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Today's guest is Billy Gregus. He's the founder of Integrity Refrigeration and AC. What started as a side hustle when he got a certification in 2015, turned into a full-time business in 2017, and it's been growing amazingly ever since. Today, Billy's team is earning huge contracts with one of the biggest companies in the world, splitting between commercial and residential, building a culture rooted in continuous learning and leadership, which is obviously near and dear to our heart. I've gotten to know Billy through a few conversations, love his positive outlook, humility, and commitment to investing in his people and the business. And so super excited to have you here. Thanks so much, Billy.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for the intro.
All right. Before we jump in with questions, maybe just, do you want to tell the folks a little bit more about yourself or about the business?
Yeah. I'll tell you kind of what stage I am right now. So like Andrew mentioned, 2015 started, just thought it was going to be a typical, side hustle. I want to do things legit. 2017 took the entrepreneurial leap. It's been a journey. Every year, we grow, we become better. And I love that we're taking care of our customers. Our specialty is quality. So we really focus on giving the best service, the best, quality job, the best materials. That's what we find enjoyable. So we focus on quality. We got a great culture. I love the team and everybody that I work with, and it's great to see everyone leveling up on a year-to-year basis. And then we're also taking care of the customer. So that's the journey that I'm on right now.
That's awesome, man. And you guys have been growing so well. Is that why you think the business has done well in a quite a competitive and crowded space? Is that why you're finding that you're winning these contracts? You're getting more residential people to come to you? Like, how is it growing today?
Yeah, it's growing, well. And I think honestly, it's pretty simple. You take care of customers, you're fair, honest, you have integrity. All those things is, if we have an issue or a callback, things happen. We stand behind our name. We'll be out there, we make it right. And I think you can look at the reviews that we have and see, how well we've done. Because this isn't just a job where we need revenue. This is, I want to take care of the customer. We find, my entire team has joy in finding out, taking care of the customer the best way possible, so they're the most comfortable, so that AC isn't, a part of the problem anymore. That's a great feeling. And my team's leveling up. We're working on really cool stuff that everyone's learning on. And just it's a pretty neat experience seeing it from high level.
And I know that I won't name the name, but you recently landed a huge commercial deal. What did that, and I know you have others, what did that mean for the business, or how has that had to change your operations and how your team expectations?
Yeah, especially commercial, they are definitely a high need, customer. And really we still provide the same kind of service, residential or commercial, but it takes a lot more technical skills and aptitude to be able to do commercial jobs. So a lot of my team hasn't dealt with anything this size. So it was neat, seeing them, learn as they're doing things, and even open them up to to that kind of, situation. We had a 265-ton crane. We had to have a crane put together, the crane that was doing the work. So it was just a neat thing. That's the stuff that gets me up. That excites me. New things. Taking care of customers' problems that 3 contractors have already been there. Messing with ammonia systems, doing big refrigeration systems that are real intricate. And watching my team become better. Like I said, that's multiple wins where the customer wins, my team wins, the company wins. We continue to grow, which has allowed us to invest more into the community, allow us to
Mm,
get better people, more education. I'm really, really big about education. I think it's one of the most important things is culture, education, customer service and quality, really are the main factors that we point at. And yeah, just having a blast with my team and enjoying the results from it.
I want to dig into that. You mentioned that you've seen a little bit of a shift in terms of the revenue composition or your customer concentration between residential and commercial. Do you think that in the future you will be intentional about shifting one way versus the other, or let that happen organically? How do you think you'll manage the business?
Yeah, so I mean, I think let it happen organically. I really enjoy the interactions with customers, so I like residential. You really talk on a face-to-face level. And I have every job that we do, I'm some way in part of. I want to make sure people are taken care of right, and my team does a great job. I'm just there in the background, making sure that we're fulfilling that promise. And then commercial, what we're going to do is departmentalized, where we have a residential department that specializes in residential, taking care of residential, more smaller, specializing in that that work, environment, and then having a commercial department, which we've already separated, so to where we
Okay.
have a commercial and a residential, and they focus on they need to know a lot different stuff
Yeah.
than the residential. They're not dealing with face to face so much. They need
Yeah.
to be more value adding photos, making sure that we're not getting callbacks, things like that. So basically departmentalizing is what we're going to break into and let it happen naturally. I'm not one way or the other. We serve commercial customers and that's our niche, but we also like the personal transactions with our residential customers. So if they'll take us, we'll serve them.
No, I like that. I have two follow-up questions, and I want to make sure I don't forget them because I tend to do that. But
Me too.
you mentioned one thing. You mentioned that you like to be involved, but we talked in the pre-show, as the business grows, you kind of can't, right? Your ability to be involved. So how are you, as the business continues to grow, how are you handling that? That ability to like let go, to trust that, to delegate and trust that somebody else is going to have to take it forward and manage that. How's that going?
Yeah, I've slowly absorbed it more and more. I am somewhat of a perfectionist, so but my team knows that, and they're the same way. They see a lot of the values that I have as far as making sure that things done right, make sure the customer's taken care of, and they mimic that. Because I hold them to a standard and they follow it. So how we're adjusting is just trying to allow them to make decisions, show them a good example, make sure they see that I'm talking the talk and walking the walk. Um, you know, uh, Letting them make the decisions, letting them make mistakes, like we talked earlier, letting them make
Yeah.
mistakes. If they make mistake and it's not that big, it's a great learning lesson. It needs to happen. So just allowing to pull back and watching from a high level to see how things are going. And sometimes I just sit back and watch and see how things play out. And I'll drop some knowledge in their ears, like, man, I'd keep an eye on this. If you're going to do that, I would
Mhm.
keep an eye on this. I won't exactly say you need to do this. I've
Yeah.
learned I've been pulling back more and more because I have to, because honestly, Andrew, I'm starting to become the bottleneck. We're handling so many jobs. I simply can't juggle everything and still provide the same service that our customers needs. So I have to depend on the team that got us here to be able to do that. So I trust they wouldn't be working for us if I didn't trust them. So I trust absolutely every single one. I want them to make decisions. I'm getting better at not. It's been a few years, but a few years ago, I used to micromanage where I'm like, well, here,
Mhm.
you color this purple. After you're done purple, you make a
Yeah.
circle mark. And if you can get to the same result just a different way, it doesn't mean that it's bad. So I'll really, absorbing that and allowing them to do that. And then sometimes they even catch me off guard, Andrew, and I'm like, wow, that is a better way. So
Mhm.
it's sometimes a learning experience for both of us, and it's been a great ride.
That's awesome, man. You mentioned it's very self-aware of you to say that, I'm becoming a bottleneck. We
Mhm.
tell people that a lot. There's as the business grows, oftentimes it is the leader who becomes the bottleneck to growth, right? Because they have taken this amazing concept and grown it to a million or half a million or 2 million, whatever. But there is a point where you just can't do everything, right? You need to trust your people. You have to delegate. You got to put people in charge. and let go, and not let go completely, right? That would be crazy. You have to put in process, you have to put in systems, you have to verify, but you can't be the bottleneck anymore if you want the business to grow past you. And yeah, that's awesome that you're aware of that.
Yeah, yeah, and that took some time, obviously
Yeah.
slight burnout, just working 80, 90 hours, still not keeping up, having a hard time, spending time with the family because I had to work. So
Yeah.
I was forced to make these decisions if I wanted to have quality time with my family because I want to be the best owner, a best operator. I want to be the best, entrepreneur. I also want to be the best father. I want to be the best husband. Those to be good at anything, it takes time. You got to invest in them. So whenever I started hitting 80, 90 hours to be able to serve the customers that we were dealing with, I really had to step back and, like you're saying, systems, processes.
Hmm.
I literally cannot be into every single job, but what I can do is make sure the business is getting better, make sure we have systems, trust, but verify.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
like I said, I have a great team, so there's not much that I have to adjust or change. And we have a great culture that continues to build on that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's neat.
That's all you said. Trust but verify. That's one of my favorites. All right. You mentioned before you're really into continuous learning. It's really important to you. Where do you see it working today, and where do you see where the team might have gaps, or might be you might need to lean in a little bit more with more learning and more training, more education?
Yeah, and I don't think I'm doing enough. There's companies that because like I said, I'm big about knowing what's out there. I'm in a big best practice group, and
Mm.
I talk to contractors, if not daily, weekly. High level clients that have extremely successful businesses, like mine with even more revenue. It's like, okay, you have this many people. How are you solving all these problems?
Yeah.
Talking with them, making sure that I understand, what are they doing? And just trying to juggle as much as I can and still lead the customer, lead the team is what my focus is.
Which best practice group are you in?
Service Nation and BDR are the two
Okay,
best practice.
cool. So as you look at the next, 1 to 3 years, what are your big goals for the business?
I want to have my own training program. So, kind of in part to the last question.
Yeah.
So, I would like right now we're doing 1 to 2 times a week. I would like more 3 times a week, and
Mm.
it's something I found out that I actually have a passion for. Is teaching and watching the gears click in people's minds. Because I'm very technical.
Yeah.
Um, I I'm not a great teacher, but I'm learning to become better, and that's helping me understand even more what I'm talking about. So I want to create a training program. We are in progress of buying land and having a custom building that's going to have a nice conference area, training room, really in depth training room. I want one of the biggest things that I want to do is really have an extensive training program where we have electrical boards that they can test on before you even go into the field. You need to do a 30-day. Derek Cormier from Climate Experts has absolutely mastered this. He does a 30-day boot camp, and he's a real big inspiration. I talk to him a lot, and he's got his training organization locked down. So I highly
Amazing.
recommend checking out Climate Experts and seeing what they're doing. He's doing big things, and he's an inspiration. He's where I'd like to be in a couple of years. So it's neat that he allows me to conversate with him and understand what's in his head.
I love that about this industry, that there's a willingness to share with competitors and other people in the field. I don't know if that exists so much in like technology or other industries out there, but it is definitely within the trades and HVAC. There is this willingness to share with others and help people grow their businesses, even though they're competitors, but not really, right? Not in the same market, probably.
Right.
But it's pretty amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's neat. The community, like in Service Nation, I started Service Nation in 2020, and to meet the contractors and being so willing to open their arms and give me knowledge and go, man, I can't get past this. Like, oh, I remember that stage here. This is what
Yeah.
I did. Even that a little bit, even if it's not particular to your business, it's still helpful having that support, having somebody to lean on, because entrepreneurship is not an easy. You need to be tough, mentally tough. There's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. There still is.
Well, it's dude, it's especially if you're like when we had our business, I had a business partner, right? So he and I could rely on each other. But if you're a solo CEO founder, it's lonely, man. It's hard, right? You're making all the decisions and it's tough. That's why I think with MAP, you have the senior consultant that you work with, and that person is typically a former executive CEO. They've been through it. And
Mhm.
so that's helpful, right? Because you can lean on them. And I always say it's like if somebody's been through the same experience and they've possibly made this mistake or seen how it can go sideways, I want to learn from them. So I don't have to step on that landmine and do it, right? So like why make the same mistake? That's why either it's a best practice group or map with a senior consultant, like so valuable, right? It's like a cheat
Absolutely.
code.
Yep.
Um, so where do you think about the next 1 to 3 years? You've got the training program, the land, and obviously still growing. What do you see as the big obstacles that might get in your way?
Hi, if you're a CEO out there who's struggling with focus for your company, aligning your team, accountability, if you're struggling with execution, connecting the dots from where you're at to where you want to be, we've got a great program for you here at MAP. My name is Michael Cato. I'm the CEO. Most importantly, I was a client for 15 years, sold my company to a public company, and then bought MAP so that we can help other entrepreneurs with this specific problem. We're a 60-year-old company. We've worked with 170,000 individual executives and CEOs. We've worked with 15,000 organizations. This is what we do. Click the link below to learn a little bit more about how people just like you, CEOs, have transformed their business and ultimately transformed their life by running through the MAP system.
I would say making sure that we continue our quality while growing the business. That's my biggest staple. I've actually slowed down the growth just to make sure that we're keeping our quality because we've got a great process so that every customer receives the same experience. And that's not easy when you're doing, 100, 200 jobs a week.
Yeah.
We don't rush our guys. We make sure that our guys have only a certain amount of calls if we're full for the day. So we do a lot of things to make sure that we're producing quality. Because what I don't want to do is, get big. Every customer is a number. That's never
Yeah.
been my deal. I'm not looking just to grow, just to grow. I'm at a pretty good size. If we get a little bit bigger, that's fine. We departmentalize service, install, maintenance. But I really enjoy the customer interaction. I really enjoy taking care of customers and who have problems and seeing how relieved they are, giving them, options that we know are the best industry's best.
Mm.
Because I've talked to best practice groups. We've educated ourselves constantly. We surround ourselves with knowledgeable people. So, that's what I find, entertaining.
So maintaining quality. And how do you mentioned you have a good process for ensuring people are getting the best quality service. How do you measure that? Like, how do you make sure for each job that that's happening?
We take photos of
Okay.
absolutely everything. So if we're changing out a part, Andrew, we're gonna have a picture, like for instance, dual run capacitor, low microfarads, and it's causing high amp draw situation on the compressor. We need to change that dual run capacitor. But my guys will literally take pictures of the reading of it, showing we have nothing to hide. We do have integrity. Everything that we need to replace, we show has failed some way or another, whether it's dirty coils. So a bunch of pictures. We have forms that the techs follow to make sure that every customer is getting the same service. Um, you know, uh, we make sure in the office we have a great. We do happy calls after, and we ask how was everything. That's a huge thing. Customers absolutely love that. We're not calling to ask for money; they've already paid. But to call them the next day and go, "Hey, we're just calling to check up to see how is everything. Did he have any issues, any concerns?" So we hear from the customer the feedback. Then you look at our Google ratings. That's a good indicator. We started getting a bunch of threes. We know we probably have something going on. But I'm so involved in the day to day that again, where everybody knows about everything. We have meetings every single morning before my texts go out. We talk about the day. We talked about the previous day. What did we learn? What can we do to get better? So we all have a growth mindset to become better, and we complement each other, in my opinion.
I love that. I don't want to let that if other people are listening with like that happy call after is a great idea. I'm thinking as a consumer, if somebody calls me just check in, that's such a great small simple touch that I think just improves the customer satisfaction. That's a great idea. Did you learn that from somebody else or was that your idea? How'd that come to be?
Yeah, I saw it from a previous best practice group training. I heard about it, and we've got a bubbly personnel in the office. She's a little social bug. Her name's Jennifer, and she loves talking with the customers. She's just one of
Yeah.
those interactive people that love talking, and I knew that was a great service. I wanted to make sure. Sure, my text told me that everything was good. Sure, they paid and they had no issues with it. Well, why don't we follow up? Why don't we make sure, was there anything else that we could offer? Is there anything else we can improve on? I'm also for that. I'm not at the point where it's like we do everything perfect. I want to
Yeah.
learn more and more. And if a customer has a bad experience, I want to learn how to make that right. And then moving forward, how can I do it to where that doesn't happen again to one of our customers? So we're constantly improving, constantly trying to get better, Andrew.
That's awesome. So let's talk about that. So you mentioned growth mindset, always trying to learn. You have the business has grown. I'm sure you've grown and you've had to step into this role as the leader of the company. Looking inwards, like what gaps do you see? Where do you think you need to continue to grow, or what areas or skills do you think you need to get to the next stage in the business?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit of perfectionist, so I'm kind of hard on myself.
Mm,
Again, we talked about not looking back and celebrating our wins, which I don't do
mhm.
enough of. I'm always like next, next. And I heard a great quote from Alex Ramosi. It said that you already hit your goals that you said you would be successful if you hit. And I'm already stages past that. So, and I
Yeah,
recognize that. So
yeah,
that's kind of was a big indicator to say, hey, sit back, enjoy the success. Everything was safe. Everything went well. Because I think that mentally resets you to be able to go to the next level. But can you repeat the question? Sorry.
No, 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 no. I mean, I think that's totally fair. I'm guilty of that as well. I think that's human nature, right? It's like you want to get to a certain level or you want something in life, you get it, and then you're just like you're on to the next thing. And you're like, wait a minute, I was wishing I was here and I'm here now. Like
Yeah.
I need to be grateful and appreciate that I'm here. But that's just if you're competitive, if you're that type A personality, it's like you're just constantly hungry and want more, which I think is good. But also it's nice to have people around you that can be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's appreciate how far we've come. You know,
Yeah.
it's great to be
Yeah.
able to celebrate that. And we said, I think um, it's especially important for the team, for your team, right? Because they may
Absolutely.
not have those same hunger attributes that you have, right? And
Right.
it's good to celebrate it for them.
Yeah. And I sit back and celebrate. I notice they take a sigh of relief because I know what I'm thinking, but they don't know what I'm thinking. So, am I happy? Am I good with the progress? Well, if we don't never celebrate, are these wins? Or are these just day to day tasks that we do? So it's definitely good for an addition to add to it. And as I evolved as a person, I'm recognizing that more.
That's awesome. So you mentioned sort of like the balancing, especially with an early stage of a business, it's super demanding on your time. How have you balanced that with being a good dad, being there for being present for the family? Like what do you have any like systems or structures you put in place, the boundaries to make sure you can balance both?
Yeah, so being efficient with my time was probably the biggest, change is, I'm sitting here working until 6, 7 o'clock. That's family time. Second, I need to have a cutoff time. There's
Mm,
always work to do. I don't know if you're the same way, but even at 5 o'clock, I've got all my to-do list done. I still in my head going, well, I can still do this, this, and this.
mhm.
So having a hard cutoff because to be good at anything, you have to invest time into it. So I'm investing 80, 90 hours at work. Sure, I'm a great entrepreneur. I'm a great, owner. Well, what about my family at home? I thought this is what I'm doing it for is so, we can live comfortable. But if I'm never spending time with them, that's all they
Yeah.
want. So just learning as I get older, I've got my second child is 2.5, his name's Sebastian. Gabby, she's 13 years old. So I was working a lot when Gabby was 13 years old. That was the beginning of the business, and I missed a lot of things that I thought I was doing for the right reasons. So now I have my son that I'm really seeing the stages of his life, and I'm going, I'm not going to miss these again. So, I want the business to grow. I want it to be, we already are. We're already here. I think a lot of people always look forward like I do. But this is success to me. I've got, a great team. We do great work. We're honest. I can sleep at night. My family's taken care of. I spend time with them. Can I improve in that? Sure. And I'm becoming better and better at making sure that I'm spending time with my family. I'm being the best husband that I can be by investing more and more time into their, reading books, doing things that make me a better version of myself, are all the things that I'm trying to do. So just being aware of it is, in my opinion, has really helped me. And I'm not where I want to be either. I'm still I reflect every day on how did yesterday go. Okay, these are my focuses that I want to be. I want to be the best dad. I want to be the best, entrepreneur, best husband. This is what I needed to do to get there. Is keep doing this. Don't make this mistake again. And if you do it every single day, you get better 1% every single day. Give them a
Mhm.
couple of years, and like I said, I'm light years away from what I was a year ago, and I can't wait to see what I'm looking like next year.
That's awesome, man. I think you're very self-aware. It to me, it starts with like I always will try to like document like what's important to me, right? Like what are the priorities? And like obviously I have a lot of business priorities, right? Things I want to accomplish with the business or professionally, but like also for home life. Like I've got 2 kids. I need like there's non-negotiables, right? Like I will not miss my son's football game. I don't care what meeting you want to put on my calendar, it's getting declined. Like I'm not missing it, you know? So just defining like what the important things are, and then the other things that maybe can slide. Like, all right, well, maybe the wife can go pick him up from school, but I'm not missing that football game. So just like, for me, that has been pretty helpful. But yeah, you have to have that balance, right?
That's man, that's gold. You gave me some really good ideas already. I've never written down what actually is important like that, and I love the non-negotiables. Do I try to do it? Yes, but what I need to do is go. These are so important that it doesn't matter if we have to work late, if we have to do this, if we have to do that. I'm not missing these. I love that. I'm trying to develop into that person, and I'm getting closer and closer every day to doing that. But that was really really good info.
Um, I'm glad. I'm glad you liked it. So if you could look at the business today, you guys have grown really well. If you could wave a wand and optimize something, maybe it's process or systems or sales or whatever at training, what do you think that would be?
I would say training. I don't have training where I want it to be, and in my opinion, training's one of the most important things. Along with service, along with
Mm,
education. Training is the most important because we can actually explain how we want the customer to be treated by best practice groups, by doing trainings to find out what is the best way to serve our customers. What have other companies done that has been successful? What do customers like?
mm,
So really dialing in the training program, and I'm making steps to doing it consistently. It's a part of the 3-year plan that I've got. Um, it sometimes doesn't feel like it's getting here fast enough, but there's other
yeah.
things in place that need to lock in. But I will, and I enjoy doing it. So I'll be the one doing it, and it's just really I got a really good vision of it, and I can't wait until I can actually do it.
It seems like you have a clear idea of what you want. So you have a 3-year plan.
3-year and a 5-year plan.
Oh, look, okay. What about a 1-year plan? Do you have like an annual plan?
Yeah, small goals, nothing crazy. It's basically what it is goals that are getting me to my 3-year or getting me to my 5-year plan. Breaking those down really into long term is what I've got. We've also got gross profit, overhead,
Yep.
labor percentages, trying to be efficient,
Yep.
so it's fair for the company, it's fair for the customers. We don't have to charge more than we have to pay for our services. So we look at all that. It isn't just, hey, we need to make more money, let's increase our revenue. It's like, hey, how can I get my labor percent down so I don't have to give a customer a raise, even though we just got a raise? So
Yep.
we're constantly looking at all aspects on that side of it. And I would say small goals on a year to year basis that are leading me up to my 3 and 5 year goals.
Okay. All right. So you've got the long view. You How do you break that down today? Like what kind of rhythms do you have today on a monthly? Do you have rhythms on like a monthly, quarterly basis to ensure that you're progressing towards that 1-year
I
vision or
try,
3 or 5-year?
Yeah, it's more of a quarterly.
Okay.
I try to digest them, and it's bigger goals that I'm trying to attain, whether it be financially, whether it be targets, whether it be training oriented, whether it be culture,
Yeah.
operations, systems. I've got a lot to go on systems, and I'm constantly working on those. So
You mentioned
just breaking it
you
down
try to
quarterly.
You mentioned you try to attach. Is it just you looking at that stuff, or do you have the team that's looking at the goals and the progress, or is it just you?
No, so mainly right now, the way the organization chart is, I'm dealing with all the growth of the business. I'm dealing
Okay.
with improvements. What I do is I'm more and more letting go of operations. I'm still keeping an eye on it, but letting it go so I can focus on we constantly run into this problem. How can we change that so we can serve our customers better? Or how
Yes.
can we
Yes.
change that so we don't have to put as much labor so we don't have to charge a customer more? I'm looking at those side of it, and I've got blocked out times throughout the week that I literally don't have busy work that I focus on trying to do that because if you're always working, in the business, you're never going to be able to work on the business. And the older I get, also, I realize that the more time I put working on the business, I'm taking care of problems almost like fires.
Hmm.
Basically, if you create a good enough plan and you look, what are all the problems? How can I prevent them from happening in the future? And they don't happen in the future. Those are less problems that you have to deal with. Now, new ones might arise from that, but then you do the same thing. And I think one of the things I've really advanced on is planning. Yeah, I wasn't good at it. I used to sit there. I'd come in for the day. I'd like, all right, fire after fire would come in. It wasn't until I started planning, it wasn't until I started following a schedule, because I had to, because I needed to be as efficient as possible with my time, because I need to be out of here at 5 o'clock, although I need to stay till 10 o'clock, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So how can I get as much work done with the highest quality as quick as possible? And it's honestly following a schedule that's rigorous, that is no breaks, getting
Hmm.
stuff done, moving on from operations to management to structure to processes, moving to every pillar, I like to call them, to try to improve them. Don't forget recruitment. I'm constantly also recruiting, even though we're not hiring, we're recruiting, because if I find an A player that I think is going to be a great culture fit for the team,
Yeah.
I'm finding something for him, because that's
Yep.
very rare. Very rare.
It's hard to find good people. Um, yeah. I mean, I think I'm a planner. Some people aren't. It's so important, right? It's
Absolutely.
so important for the team. And even, number one, to have a good plan that you can stick to, but then to also communicate that to the team so they know where we're going and how we're going to get there. Um, and then the
Yeah,
other thing is,
so can I make a real quick? So
of
one thing
course,
I heard about it is about planning. Well, so I even have a time management coach. So
mm,
that's how important I feel time management is, and I can improve on it. And I'm constantly working on it. But you look at it like this: you're driving a boat. If you don't have the final destination, how are you going to know how to get there? How you can get there the fastest? And that's always been a great, kind of understanding for me is give yourself 15 minutes in the beginning of the day, figure out what you're going to do, what's most important, what's going to turn the needle, work on those first.
mhm.
And then, you can worry about the other things. So that's really helped me. And I definitely could still improve in that area, but man, I'm leaps and bounds from what I was last year.
Yeah, there's always room to improve. Always, always, always. But yeah, it's always making sure you're working on the most important things. We call it the Pareto principle, right? Um, awesome, man. Well, before we jump, and this has been an awesome conversation. I keep talking to you forever. Where can folks go to connect with you or learn more about integrity?
Yeah, so the office number is 863-557-4608. You can find our website, Integrity Refrigeration and AC.com. We're on Facebook. We put all of our jobs on there continuously so you can see the type of work that we do. Give us a shout, and we try to be a company that truly cares, focuses on quality, and I've got such a great team, and you'll understand that when we work with you, the kind of camaraderie and the culture that we have, and it shows in the work that we do.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing your time with us. I appreciate it. Congratulations on the business. It's amazing, and I'm really happy that you've grown it so well. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you next time.
See ya.